Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Talk Channel. I'm Anna, and we're so happy you're here practicing English with us today.
And I'm Leo. Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about something that native English speakers use all the time, but many English learners don't fully understand.
That's right. Have you ever listened to a native speaker and wondered why they say words like, well, actually, you know, or I mean so often? At first, these words might seem unnecessary, but they actually make conversations sound much more natural.
Exactly. Many learners focus on grammar and vocabulary, but they forget about the small words that connect ideas and make speech flow smoothly. Those little expressions are called fillers, and today we're going to practice using them naturally.
All right, Leo, let's get started.
I'm ready.
Leo, have you ever noticed that when native speakers tell a story, they rarely jump straight to the point?
Oh, definitely. They usually ease into the conversation. They'll often start with something like, well, or so, before they answer.
Exactly. Let's begin with one of the most common fillers in English, well.
I hear that one every single day.
Me too. People use well when they're thinking, when they're about to explain something, or when the answer isn't completely simple.
For example, if someone asks me, did you enjoy the movie? I might say, well, the acting was great, but the ending was a little disappointing.
That's a perfect example. Notice that well doesn't really change the meaning of the sentence. Instead, it gives you a brief moment to organize your thoughts.
It also sounds friendlier. Compare these two answers. Did you like the restaurant? No. Now compare that with this. Well, not really. The food was okay, but the service was pretty slow.
The second answer sounds much more natural and conversational.
Exactly. Native speakers often soften their answers instead of giving very direct responses.
Let's practice another example. Leo, do you enjoy waking up early?
Well, I like having productive mornings, but I wouldn't say I enjoy getting out of bed before 6.
That sounds very natural.
Another filler you'll hear constantly is actually.
Yes, and learners sometimes misunderstand this word.
Many people think actually always means in fact, but native speakers often use it simply to introduce new information or gently correct something.
For example, I thought you were from Canada. Actually, I'm from Australia.
Or someone might ask, do you work downtown? And I could answer, actually, I work from home most of the time.
It's a smooth way to introduce information that might surprise the other person.
Here's another example. Actually, I've never been skiing.
That's a sentence you hear all the time.
What's interesting is that native speakers don't always emphasize the word. Sometimes they say it very casually. Actually, I think I'll stay home tonight.
Exactly. It's subtle, but it helps conversations flow naturally. Now let's talk about another favorite expression, you know.
This one is everywhere.
It really is. Some learners think you know literally means the other person already knows something, but that's not always true.
Right. Often it's simply used to keep the conversation flowing or to make the listener feel involved.
For example, sometimes work gets really busy, and it's hard to find time to relax.
Or, I wanted to travel more this year, but, life gets busy.
Exactly. You're not checking whether the listener knows, you're simply keeping the conversation relaxed.
There's one thing learners should remember, though. Using a filler naturally is great. Using it every 5 seconds is not.
That's a very important point. Native speakers use fillers naturally, but they don't repeat the same one over and over again.
Instead, they mix them. Well, actually, I mean, kind of, sort of, I guess.
That variety makes speech sound authentic.
Speaking of I mean, that's another expression worth learning.
Absolutely. I mean is useful when you want to explain yourself more clearly.
Let's imagine I say, the restaurant wasn't bad. Then I continue, I mean, the food was delicious, but the portions were pretty small.
Exactly. I mean tells the listener that you're expanding or clarifying your idea.
Here's another one. I enjoy exercising. I mean, I don't love every workout, but I always feel better afterward.
That's something many people can relate to.
It sounds much more conversational than simply listing facts.
Leo, do you remember when you first started learning English?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I knew some vocabulary, but understanding native speakers felt impossible.
Why do you think that was?
Honestly, because nobody had taught me about fillers. I expected every word to have an important dictionary meaning. Then I'd hear someone say, well, and wonder what was happening.
I had the same experience. Eventually, I realized those words weren't the difficult part of English. They were actually helping the speaker organize their thoughts.
Exactly. Once you stop trying to translate every filler, conversations suddenly become much easier to follow.
Let's learn another useful expression. Kind of.
That's a really common one. People use kind of when something is true, but not completely true.
For example, are you tired? I'm kind of tired.
That means you're somewhat tired, not completely exhausted, just a little.
Another example. Do you like spicy food? Kind of. I enjoy mild spicy food, but not extremely hot dishes.
Native speakers love making answers less absolute. Instead of giving yes or no, they'll often say kind of, sort of, a little, not really, it depends.
That makes conversations feel much more realistic.
Anna, could you repeat that last expression one more time? Did you say sort of or kind of?
Good question. I said both. They're very similar. Kind of and sort of usually mean to some extent. For example, I'm kind of busy. I'm sort of busy. Both sound natural in everyday English.
Thanks for repeating that. It's always okay to ask someone to repeat something if you didn't catch it the first time.
Exactly. Native speakers do that all the time.
There's another filler I hear constantly. I guess.
Yes, people use I guess when they're not 100% certain or when they're expressing a personal opinion gently.
For example, what are your plans this weekend? I guess I'll stay home and watch a movie.
Or do you think it'll rain later? I guess so.
It makes your answer sound softer and less certain.
Something interesting about fillers is that they also buy you a little time. Instead of freezing because you're thinking, you can naturally say, well, or let me think, or
Exactly. That's much better than staying completely silent. And the great news is that native speakers do the same thing. Let's start with one that sometimes confuses learners. Like.
That's right. Many learners know like as a verb. For example, I like coffee. But native speakers also use like as a conversational filler.
Exactly. For example, so I was really surprised when I saw him. The word like doesn't mean enjoy here. It's simply helping the speaker tell a story naturally.
Here's another example. I waited for 20 minutes. Did the person wait exactly 20 minutes? Maybe, maybe not. They're giving an approximate number.
You'll also hear things like, it was like the funniest movie I've ever seen. Again, the word makes the sentence sound relaxed and conversational.
One important tip, though, some native speakers, especially younger speakers, use like very frequently. But as an English learner, it's better to use it moderately. A little sounds natural. Too much can become distracting.
I completely agree. Learning fillers isn't about adding as many as possible. It's about sounding comfortable and natural.
Another useful expression is basically.
I use that one quite often.
Me too. People say basically when they're giving a simple summary or explaining something without every small detail.
For example, what happened at work today? Basically, we spent the whole afternoon preparing for tomorrow's meeting.
Or someone asks, how does this app work? You could answer, basically, you create an account, choose your settings, and start using it.
Notice how basically prepares the listener for a simple explanation.
Another expression you'll hear all the time is honestly.
Yes, people use it before sharing a genuine opinion.
For example, honestly, I didn't expect the trip to be so much fun.
Or, honestly, I was a little nervous before giving the presentation.
There's also a slightly longer version, to be honest.
Exactly. To be honest, I almost canceled my gym membership last month.
Or, to be honest, I prefer reading books to watching television.
Both expressions are common. The shorter version feels a bit more casual. The longer version gives your opinion a little more emphasis.
Let's imagine we're having coffee together. I'll ask you some questions, and let's see how naturally you can include a few fillers.
Sounds good. Go ahead.
What's your favorite season?
Well, I'd probably say autumn. The weather is comfortable, and I really enjoy spending time outside without it being too hot.
That sounded very natural. What do you usually do on weekends?
Honestly, it depends. Sometimes I meet friends, sometimes I stay home. I guess I just choose whatever feels relaxing after a busy week.
Very nice. Have you ever thought about learning another language besides English?
Actually, yes. I've always been interested in learning Italian. Well, maybe someday when I have a little more free time.
See how those fillers made your answers sound relaxed instead of robotic?
Exactly. Without fillers, my answers would still be correct, but they'd sound much more like something from a textbook.
Let's compare two conversations. First, do you like your job? Yes, it's interesting. I work with good people. That's perfectly correct.
Now listen to this version. So, do you like your job? Well, actually, I do. I mean, every job has its challenges, but I work with a really supportive team, so I'm pretty happy.
Which one sounds more like a real conversation? Definitely the second one.
Exactly. The grammar isn't necessarily more advanced. The conversation simply feels more human.
There's another small expression that's incredibly common. So.
Yes, people use so to begin an answer or introduce a new topic. For example, so what did you think about the concert? So here's what happened. So I've been thinking about taking a vacation.
Notice that so doesn't always mean therefore. Sometimes it's simply a natural way to begin speaking.
Here's another one. Anyway.
That's useful when you're returning to the main topic. Imagine you're telling a story. You suddenly remember something unrelated. After mentioning it, you might say, anyway, as I was saying, or anyway, let's get back to today's topic.
Native speakers use that constantly.
Leo, do you think English learners should memorize every filler?
Well, not really. I think it's much better to notice them naturally while listening. Once you've heard them hundreds of times, you'll start using them without thinking.
I completely agree. Learning fillers is a little like learning rhythm in music. You don't count every beat forever. Eventually, it becomes natural.
One mistake some learners make is trying to force fillers into every sentence.
That's true. Imagine someone says, well, actually, basically, honestly, kind of, before every idea. That would sound unusual.
Exactly. Native speakers use fillers because they're speaking naturally, not because they're trying to use fillers.
That's an important difference. The goal isn't to sound complicated. The goal is to sound comfortable.
Here's a fun challenge. The next time you watch an English movie or listen to a podcast, don't focus on difficult vocabulary. Instead, count how many times you hear words like, well, actually, I mean, honestly, basically, so, anyway, I guess, kind of.
You'll probably be surprised. Sometimes you'll hear several of them within just 1 minute of conversation.
Shauna, can I ask you one last question?
Of course.
Would an English learner only remember 3 fillers after today's lesson? Which ones would you recommend?
That's a great question. I'd probably choose well, actually, and I mean. Those 3 are incredibly versatile, and you'll hear them almost everywhere. Once you become comfortable using those naturally, you can gradually add expressions like kind of, honestly, I guess, and basically.
I like that advice. Trying to learn everything at once can feel overwhelming. Learning 3 expressions well is much more effective than memorizing 20 that you never use.
Exactly. Remember, speaking naturally isn't about using difficult vocabulary. It's about communicating comfortably and confidently. Native speakers don't always choose the most advanced words. They choose words that help conversations flow.
And that's something every English learner can practice little by little. Every conversation is an opportunity to sound a little more natural than the day before.
We hope today's conversation helped you understand how native speakers really use English fillers in everyday life. Now it's your turn to practice. In the comments below, write 2 or 3 sentences about your day and try using at least 3 fillers we've learned today. For example, you might use well, actually, or I guess in your response.
Don't worry about being perfect. The more you practice, the more natural these expressions will become. Speaking English confidently takes time, and every conversation helps you improve.
If you enjoyed this lesson, please give the video a like and subscribe to English Talk channel for more real-life English conversations designed to help you speak naturally and confidently.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We always enjoy practicing English together with learners from around the world.
Keep listening, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep enjoying the learning process.
We'll see you again in the next lesson.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye and happy learning.